Hello, I just wanted to do a little video that shows a repair I had to make to my Kobalt 1015 table saw. I will preface this by saying it is 6 years old and I have used it very hard and very satisfactorily. I bought this while I was building a 40-foot sailboat. I had used a larger cabinet saw, 3 horsepower saw, while I was building the hull itself. When I moved the project outside, I needed a job site saw, and this one has served the purpose very well. I have owned it now for 6 years, and the only issue that I have ever had is that the mechanism for raising and lowering the blade got very hard to use. It eventually got stuck. I took the whole thing apart, cleaned out dust and grease and grime. That didn't really do anything. It turned out that the rails, or the rods that it runs on, which, if you can see in here, I'll try to hold a light at the same time. There's one stainless steel rod on this side that it runs up and down on, another one behind the threaded rod over here that it runs on. The issue was that this rod on this side, being close to the threaded rod that raises it and lowers it, is able to stay in line easily because it's so close to the threaded rod. This one over here is supporting the whole weight of the motor, and I assume over time that the bearing inside it got slightly worn. There was very little play in it, but enough that when I would raise it, it would get, they were not exactly parallel, and it would bind up. After cleaning it and playing with it a while, I realized that if I gave it a little bit of support while I was raising it, it worked fine. So after some thought, what I came up with was to install a heavy spring underneath the motor bracket there. Right now it's in its fully compressed state. With that in there, when I'm raising it, it gives it enough support that it works perfectly well now. I will attempt to show how that works, and hopefully you'll still be able to see it without me holding the light there. But you can see the spring expanding, keeping everything in line, and it works very easily now. So there, once it gets up so high, it doesn't need the spring anymore. It seemed to be just at about the 3 or 4 inch mark coming up. It needed it mostly. I did have the spring long enough that it fully raised it there, but then when it was lowered into the compression, the lower sight, the spring was too long that it wouldn't let the blade lower all the way. So I cut off enough of the spring to let the blade come down just below the level of the tabletop. And that's with the spring fully compressed. But just in case anybody else had that issue, that's how I fixed it. It works great. The saw has been excellent other than that, and I would highly recommend it, even though I've abused it for 6 years now.